Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's video is about Carl Craig. So Carl Craig is a Detroit techno producer. He's kind of considered part of the second wave of Detroit techno producers. The first wave is your Derek May, your Juan Atkins, your Kevin Saunderson. Blake Baxter's probably in there to some extent. There's kind of a little mix of first and second, but those are kind of the wave, the first wave. I'm sure I'm forgetting some. Then you have the second wave, which is a little bit more to my liking. I definitely like Juan Atkins and Derek May, especially, but their music. There's kind of the second wave I kind of like more, and one of the big producers in that is Carl Craig, of course. Kenny Larkin's in there, sort of Drexia's in there, Robert Hood, Jeff Mills, Theo Parrish, Blake Baxter's probably in there too. Oh man, I always hate losing, not remembering all. I'm missing probably about five of my Robert Hood. I don't know if I said him, but there's the second wave I really like, probably a little bit more, just because it's a little bit more melodic. It's a little bit more polished, a little bit more tied to rave, and yeah, just the music some of those guys made. I mean, when I think about my top five producers of all time of Detroit techno, Carl Craig is right in there. I mean, I know Drexy is definitely in the top five. Robert Hood's right in the top five. Right in there. Certainly Kenny Larkin's in there as well. So and Juan Atkins, I'm sure. So I'm sure. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Of course, the Burden Brothers Octave One is fantastic as well. So that's certainly right outside the top five. But there's just a lot of great producers that came out of Detroit, and one of the things I like mostly about the sound of Detroit techno is this is kind of the first video I've done about somebody related to Detroit techno, so you have to excuse me if I kind of ramble a little bit. But one thing I really like about Carl Craig's music is there's this dystopian feel. I'm sure you've heard it if you know Detroit techno, or post-apocalyptic kind of feel of machines, and kind of those producers being inspired by Detroit sounds of the city, and the futuristic sounds of making cars, and kind of tie with like Kraftwerk and what they were hearing on the radio, and kind of applying that to almost like you got to remember around like 80 to 82, there's like a lot of electros kind of becoming popular. There's it's kind of electro. It's kind of like almost into Nucleus, and there's Midnight Star, and Telex and Kraftwerk and stuff, and there's that kind of fusion going on of people starting to do a little bit sort of techno, but not really knowing it's techno, and of course Juan Atkins is the one who really kind of labeled it techno, and going from there, that just that kind of sound was inspirational, I think, to then the German producers who were already kind of probably listening to industrial and EBM and those things, and techno was right in their wheelhouse. Having probably grown up with Kraftwerk and Throbbing Gristle and DAF and all kinds of music, and then you had UK with like Cabaret Voltaire and things like that, and of course the Manchester sound around even New Order 81 was still doing some kind of starting to do some dance music, with like These Dreams and stuff like that, and the Movement album certainly has some dance music in there. But you can kind of see everything kind of gravitating towards the next launch of what was techno, and Detroit really kind of put it on the map when it comes to just releasing a lot of music and kind of calling it their own and kind of having that sound and that's kind of the fusion of the or it kind of has that kind of Terminator kind of storyline of the world's been destroyed and everything kind of has a theme to it and the machines have taken over and they've made this music and there's a whole storyline to it. Is kind of that ties the sci-fi sort of to it, and that's kind of the other appeal of a lot of the music. Is not Jeff Mills said that it's technically techno music isn't. I've always connected with this techno music isn't necessarily dance music. That it's music for your mind, and that's what kind of inspires me. Is I always tell people it's easy as a DJ or what have you. It's easy to make a dance track and make people shake their butts or whatever, but it's hard to make people, change their minds or move their emotions or change their thinking or open their mind up or, it's almost kind of like the thinking man's dance music. So in a way, because techno feels like that to me, it really kind of, the beat is kind of secondary a lot in deeper techno, and especially Detroit techno. And even though it's tied to early electro and certainly dance music, it's kind of more of a futuristic kind of classical music in a way, and that's really what kind of inspires me when I think about the Detroit techno side of it. Now there's Detroit House and Theo Parrish and stuff like that, and that's all well and good too. Mike Huckabee's in there. That's the name I always sometimes forget. The rest in peace. But Mike Huckabee was great, and there's certainly a minimal side to Detroit techno and a dub techno scene that's really evolved out of it with like Echo Space and D-Chord and that kind of goes back to Carl Craig and him remixing Basic Channel and stuff like that. So, and then of course Lon Atkins working with the guys from Basic Channel. So you have that kind of that tie of that German and that German techno and that Detroit techno is always kind of that sound and I would feel that maybe Germany was a little bit more inspired by. Well, it kind of goes both ways. I think German music kind of inspired what Detroit techno made, and then once Detroit techno made techno, then I think it inspired Germany to go full board and make their kind of techno, and both those two genres are some of my favorite techno. Like I really like ambient techno from the UK and Netherlands, and and then I like rave music from Belgium, and I like trance music from Frankfurt and Berlin back in the day. But Detroit techno is up there for me, and especially in the period of like 86 to or 87 to early 2000s, and I've to be honest with you, I kind of gotten away from it a little bit, but a little bit away of the second wave of Detroit producers, because a lot of them. I mean, Carl Craig's team is pretty busy, but I to be honest with you, I haven't kept up with his music as much as I did back in the day. But I feel like the third wave, if you could say there was a third wave of Detroit techno producers, and you have to bear with me as I say this. I don't mean this in any kind of negative or positive way, but I feel like the third wave of producers, a lot of them have been white people, white Detroit techno producers and African American producers. I felt like that has kind of taken it to another level as far as a lot of the melody, and it's each one's got better. I feel like the second wave's got better, and the third wave's gotten even better, and to some extent there's bits and pockets where maybe a fourth wave is coming out, and I haven't necessarily pinned down those producers, but I think of like Stephen Tang and yeah, I mean there's kind of some of them overlap with ambient techno, like your As One and your D5 and your B12 and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of the have tied over with ambient techno, and I don't want to get those too confused. But there's a lot of ambient music in Detroit techno. But I feel like the third wave has really taken what the good things that the second wave done and improved it also. But I think the second wave, as far as like what they've done, and even Juan Atkins to some extent, is a little bit more profound because they've done more. Their catalog's a little bit larger, but there are some really strong third wave producers that I feel like. I think Titon Duvante is one. Fabrice League. There's some French ones that even have turned over to. Even Laurent Garnier is kind of in that a little bit, and like Seventh City stuff. Russ Gabriel, and I would say Speedy J's in there, but I'm missing what's his name? Dan Curtin. Dan Curtin's in there. You know what I mean? That's what I kind of consider the third wave. So I'm not trying to mean that the white people did it better than the black people. I'm not saying that at all, because that's not true at all. I'm just saying a lot of the third wave generation has been, a lot of them have been inspired, and there's certainly some African American ones too. But I feel like it's really kind of grown out a little bit more towards a little bit of UK and also kind of the next wave of Detroit producers, like a little bit with Octave One, and we're talking like 92, 94 here, where some of these producers kind of took over, and and of course Jeff Mills, fantastic as well. But the thing that separates Carl Craig's music from a lot of them, and if I had to list top five favorite Detroit technos, they're all African American. You know what I mean? So that they laid the foundation, and everything's kind of grown from that. I think what sets Carl Craig's music apart for me than the rest of them is his melodies are a little bit more towards. I feel like they have a little bit more of a sequencer feel, and a little bit more kind of a little bit more grand, and they kind of exceed the kind of BPMs and the structures, or even sometimes limitations of beats. Some of his melodies, and I'm going to do a review after this. The first album review I'm going to do. I feel like doing one on Carl Craig since I had his one of his CDs out. But I'm going to do my first album review, kind of not super in depth, but do a review on an album, and I think the thing that really kind of stood out with kind of revisiting one of his legendary albums was his very Tangerine Dream-like melodies and sequence rhythms, and I think that's what I like most about his music is they're not just kind of melodies underneath, but they seem to kind of go outside of the bounds, and maybe it's an octave above. I'm not necessarily a music major or anything like that, but they seem to be more grandiose than the beats, and that's kind of having to do with the amazing layering that he does. And the other thing I like about Carl Craig is that some of the sounds that he uses are very very different than a lot of techno producers used. But that's one of the things I really like about him. So yeah, I was just going to kind of go through some of the music and talk a little bit about some of the music that he's done. I think the first thing I was going to do was these aren't in order at all, so you have to bear with me. But of course, Carl Craig runs the Planet E label, which has probably been around since about 89 or 90. He had some early stuff on like Reactive Records and some labels like that, and he's definitely got released quite a bit of music on a lot of labels, but he's Planet E is probably one of my favorite uh, Detroit labels as well. I mean, Metroplex is certainly up there. Planet E's is certainly up there. Somewhat not the hugest underground resistance fan, but there's certainly a lot of great records that have come out on UR. Um, but yeah, so kind of just these are just kind of random CDs that I have about this. I don't know why I'm starting here, but just happened to be starting here. Just kind of grabbed it. This is him and Moritz von Oswald from Basic Channel. This is in a way they're kind of doing like because this is from a Deutsche Grammophon Records. Kind of giving it like a classical minimal theme. I need to give this one another go. I feel like I've played this a couple times and it really still hasn't resonated with me. This is 2008. This came in. I think he's done a couple more after this. Maybe another one with I know there's the Borderlines series in there, and maybe a couple other pieces with Maurice. But this is the last piece of Carl Craig music I bought in 2008. So I really haven't kept up on him in the last 15 years. But this is it's minimal and but I just maybe I should just give another listen before kind of giving any kind of review, because it doesn't necessarily hasn't really hit home as much as most Carl Craig has. This is a really important CD for him, for me, from him. If you guys know Carl Craig, he's just an amazing remixer. He's probably one of the all-time best remixers, in my opinion. That's another great thing about Carl Craig is his melodies, his unique sounds. I really like his rhythms. And the other thing is he's just a fantastic remixer. He takes a track and makes it his own. There's and a lot of times he tops the original. I can think of many times where he's topped the original. This is basically a collection, designer music it's called, and it's him remixing other people's music. And like Incognito's Out of the Storm is fantastic. His version of Telex Moscow Disco is really strong. Not as good as the original. His movement of BT, is fantastic. His version of Cairo by Spacetime Continuum is fantastic. His remix of Altered States by Ron Trent is really strong, not as good as the original, but this is a fantastic CD that shows what he can do. This is on Planet E, but just a fantastic release. I just happen to have these here. These are just a couple things I have in Planet E. Geology 1 and 2. These are mixed CDs. I don't know if Carl Craig is necessarily doing the DJing on here, but these are really strong. Of course, I do have 2 copies of the second one. There's some really strong music on here, though. I won't go through them because they're not necessarily all Carl Craig related, but there's a Paperclip song on here, Interzone Orchestra, and a '69 record. Russ Gabriel mix of Atlas starts off. Paperclip People's on here as well. And then there's Interzone Orchestra on here as well. So I just feel like it's kind of in my Carl Craig section. Carl Craig, this is his sessions. I'm not sure. I think there might have been. Well, there's 2 sessions on here because of double C, but I thought there might be a second part to this. This kind of again talks about kind of highlights some of his remixes. Just there's so many remixes he's done that are great. His remix of Rhythm and Sound's "Poor People Must Work" is great. I don't have it here because I couldn't find it, but Trace Demented, right? It was a great track. I think he did the remix on that same record. It's amazing. His remix of Tides by Beanfield is so unique. I mean, Beanfield it was on Compost Records. I have a few of their records, and they're kind of down tempo, a little bit into trip hop, but not necessarily something that Carl Craig is going. I mean, a techno producer is going to take and turn it into something fantastic. And he took that challenge and made an original great track, an original great remix. Yeah, the Tides by Beanfield. If you know, you know. His remix of Theo Parrish's "Falling Up" was a classic when it came out in, I think it was 2004. That record was hot when that came out. His remix of Paperclip's "Oscillator." Yeah, that's Trace Demented on here. His remix of "Bug in the Basement" by his orchestra, fantastic. I mean, this is just, there's just so much good music on here. He's such a fantastic remixer. Here's kind of something just that I have it. There's a couple Carl Craig mixes on. This is kind of Axiom, which was like sort of like an ambient label. I think Bill Laswell was heavy into this label. I don't know if I think he owned it, and that was sort of his ambient sort of dub sort of label, Axiom. And this one was on Palm Pictures, which is I think they distributed it, but there was also on Axiom, but you can sort of see the Axiom logo there. It was like a cross. But this had some Carl Craig stuff on it. It had a remix of his Alzima dub on here, and then he also did his own dub remix on here, but some other good stuff on here too. But I always have it with Basic Channel. I mean, I always have it with Carl Craig's stuff. Here's a good remix CD he did. Can't Soma that has heat or something like that. It's called. I don't know what it's called. On some that I don't know. On Suma Trash Avash Heat, that the sheet. What a strange name that is. Anyways, this is a remix that Carl Craig did. I'm sorry, a DJ mix that he did, which is really strong. If you guys know, it's got Jimster on it, John Arnold, Recluse is on here, a couple of the good tracks. Pretty solid remix. I mean, pretty solid DJ mix. Here's this 69 project, which is kind of his. He had 4 records under 69, and they're all kind of minimal techno around like 93 to like 95. Jam the Box is a great one. Sound on Sound, of course, that track. My Machines. So yeah, this was kind of him doing a side project that was a little bit more minimal. It was probably right around the time when he was working with Basic Channel for a little bit. Here's his reissue of Paperclip People. Yeah, Paperclip People. This got some big tracks on it. This is probably my. I'm not the hugest Paperclip People fan though. It's got Throw on it, which I'm not as big a Throw fan as other people. I like it. It's good. The climax is good. Of course, Paperclip Man and Oscillator. Floor is another one. Clear and Present. There's some big hitters on here. But I don't necessarily like this. Well, I don't like this as much as maybe other people do. This might be a little bit before my time. This is kind of his more raw stuff. I feel like it lacks a little bit on the melody side compared to like his stuff under his name. Might get some hate for that, but I do like it. It's just that I'm being very, very particular here. I don't like the paperclip stuff as much as the stuff under Carl Craig. It's good, but I don't know. I feel like it's missing a little bit of the melodic parts. I don't know how else to say it, but just say it. Here's his, and this is the. I like these a little bit more. These are a little bit more towards rave, but this is actually earlier than paperclip people, as far as I think. I mean, Elements, new neurotic behavior, Crackdown, From Beyond, Andromeda, Evolution, and Galaxy are classics. It's a Shame's on here. Chicken Noodle Soup was fantastic. I really like the Psych BFC stuff better than the paperclip people. Um, just a couple of his remixes. I mean, talking about remixes, like his remix of Domina is just an all-time classic. One of the best remixes I've ever heard. Here's two versions of that. I'll always have a copy that's not opened on this one. I think this might be the yellow version inside. But I always have a sealed copy when they reissue these. I always buy them. Just Domina, his remix of Mauricio's Domina is just an amazing track, an amazing techno track. I don't think there's, and it's funny because if you think about it, M4 and M4.5, if you know, are probably two of the most iconic techno tracks, especially minimal or dub techno, that where the remix is equally as popular, and that you can't say that too much, but Domina, the original and Carl Craig's remix is probably like the pinnacle of two tracks that are so highly regarded that you have the original and a remix. That's kind of on the Carl Craig level that's kind of on the level that he is as a producer, that he's equal to somebody that was great as Basic Channel, and Mauricio is just like, I mean, those just iconic artists there. Here's the reshape of the Climax. I also have, keep one of those sealed as well. Another fantastic remix, Climax, just amazing. I think this is also remixed on Planet E as well. These are the BC records, BC editions. I think this one's the 2000. It's probably reissues, probably 2008 or something like that. I think it came out like 2001 or something like that. Kind of going into some other Carl Craig records. Here's Carl Craig's presents Abstract Funk Theory. Abstract Funk Theory was a really good series. I only have a couple of them. This one in the circulation. I might have the Time Rider too. But yeah, this is on Obsessive, I think it was. Yeah, Obsessive, where they would feature an artist and kind of just gather together some of his favorite songs and put them on a compilation. Kind of similar to like the Back to Mine series, if you know the Back to Mine. And I mean, this is a great record because the second track you get a number of names, Charivari. If you guys know, and I was trying to think about Charivari on another video and I couldn't think of the name who did it. It was a number of names. But Charivari is kind of considered the inspiration of Detroit techno, that track. And so you have that on here. You have B-52s and Mesopotamia. The Detroit, Derek May, all those guys. They're definitely influenced by your Depeche Mode and your new wave artists. And here's B-52s. Cybertron's on here. Alleys of Your Mind. Channel 1 is another Metroplex record. Technicolor's on here. Reese and San Antonio's on here. Force Fields Phase 2, Model 500, which is Juan Atkins, Night Drive, X-Rays, Let's Go, I think X-Ray is Lon Atkins, right? BFC's, he's got his Galaxy on here, that track, and he's got the Dance on here by Rhythm is Rhythm, which is Derek May. So, I mean, it's just, says Carl Craig is arguably the most influential of Detroit's so-called second generation of producers, which I mentioned. Carl became a protege of the legendary Derek May when they worked together on Transmit's Rhythm is Rhythm project. So, I mean, that's kind of, really the origins of it, right? Carl's gained notoriety from producing under various pseudonyms: 69, Psych, Inner Zone Orchestra, Paperclip People. So this is a great, really nice compilation he did. I'll probably do a Derek May video another time and show you my Rhythm is Rhythm records, and I'm definitely doing a Lon Atkins one too, and like the X-Rays on there and Technicolor, so I can speak to those a little bit more under the Lon Atkins video, but it's a great compilation right here. Another random record he did. This is kind of this one is actually with I didn't mean to bring this up, but this has them in here because it has a Rhythm is Rhythm on here. Strings of Life is on here, which is Derek May, just talking about him. But Relic is on here from Derek May, and then you have Mayday on here, which is the Reagan remix. I just happen to have that over here, so it's actually, this is my Carl Craig section is right next to my Derek May, so I didn't necessarily mean to grab this, but might as well show you why it's here. Of course, Planet E here. I got both versions of this, the original and the reissue. This was Inner Zone Orchestra featuring Paul Randolph. People Make the World Go Round. Has a Kenny Dixon remix on here, which Moody Man. And then it has the Carl Craig remix on the other side, which is really strong. Yeah, so there's the Planet E. There's his logo. That's kind of how most of the records look. Maybe all of them when it comes to Planet E. And again, this label is so strong. I would probably consider it probably a third my favorite techno labels all the time. I know I'm missing one in there. I mean, 430 West is up there. And you got Axis in there as well. I mean, but probably, you got Metroplex and I'm blanking on the other one. Was just Metroplex and I'm blanking on the other one. I can't think of it. I mentioned it earlier. Can't remember. Anyway, Designer, The Truth. Designer Music, The Truth, and then I think Problems is on the other side. Really strong record. Here's Just Another Day. Yeah, I think it has Angel on the other side, right? No, actually, I'm sorry. This has Twilight, and then Darkness, Sandstorms, and Experimento. This is 2004. Just Another Day. I think this one's Planet E. Looks like I have the same one because it doesn't have a sleeve. This is Angel and Darkness. So this is a sort of a remix to this one because it has Darkness on here. This is strong. This is a strong record. Not as good as some of the other ones around at the same time, but this one's good. This was kind of, I don't think this is fully tied to the sessions. There's a 2-pack of this going around. There's the Volume 1 and Volume 2, and this one kind of has his remixes on here. This is a great DJ record right here, because you have his remix of Body Jazz, Body Fusion by Awkward Rhythms, the Inner Zone remix of Yenix, Serena X, his remix of Ravers Suck Our Sound by LaFunk Mob, You know, but here's the golden one. His remix of Relativity, BT's Urban Affair dub. His remix of Tori Amos's God, Rainforest Resort mix, and the remix of Incognito's Out of the Storm. So a couple of these are on, right on here. In fact, yeah. So I don't know if Problems. I guess Problems is Alexander Robotnik's remix. So I guess that's his remix of Robotnik, which makes sense because it's on that. So I take that back. So this one right here, the Problems, Designer Music, The Truth. I don't think The Truth is on here necessarily, but Problems is. Yeah, so sort of Problems is both on these, and that's Alexander Robotnik's, which is kind of like Telex and Kraftwerk, kind of disco producer in the late 70s, early 80s. But really good double pack. I need to get volume 2. That one's got some other good remix on here. Here's a later, I think this is around 2001, maybe, reissue came out. This is, it's got Psych, Neurotic Behavior, and Andromeda on here. And then there's Crackdown and From Beyond. So this is kind of a Transmit Classics kind of reissue. So it has all the Psych stuff, which is great to have on vinyl. Here's a 69. Sound on Sound. This one has Sub Seducer and Sound on Sound, Rushed. Yeah, this is strong. Got the 69 sticker on it, which is kind of cool. Added that on there. Here's this is from his not Land Cruising, but on his Land Cruising album. Wonderful Life is the epic mix, and then on this side, As Time Goes By, Sitting Under a Tree. Don't remember that track. Of course, I love this track. I'm going to do a more in-depth review on Land Cruising. Here's Trace Demented. Trace Demented. It's got the remix on here. It says Edit, thanks to Laurent Garnier. And then you got the Demented Drums remix, and then I think the drums remix on here. Man, when this came out, and then his remix of Falling Up came up by Theo Parrish, 2003, 2004. I mean, Carl Craig was just on another level when these two came out. These sold really well, these two records too. I mean, everybody had Trace Demented and Falling Up. Those records were so desired. I can't find it here, but it was just kind of, the funny thing about going through all, when you do like a video like this, and I try to collect, the records that I have from a certain artist, and it's if I do CDs for 95% of the times, I'll have them, but when it comes to records, I won't be able to find all of them, and I'll just kind of give up, and I'm like, okay, I don't have to show every single one. And one of the ones I couldn't find was actually a CD. CD was the Urban Tribe, Covert Action. The full album this comes from. This is Urban Tribe, Low Birth, the extended mix, and then Covert Action. Yeah, for some reason I can't find these. And this Planet E was also, I guess he, I'm not sure why he did these labels, and then maybe he went to these in like 2000, and then the other ones are like 95 to like 2000. He sort of went to these, or if he just does reissues on here. But these Planet E ones right here are all original, Trace Demented and stuff like that. So not fully sure on that, but some he goes with the other design label, the other label. Here's the Detroit Experiment. This was sort of a side project he was in. It says featuring Carl Craig, and This is The Way We Make Music, the instrumental version, and the full version. Space Odysseys on the other side, which is cool. Midnight at 20 Grand, Space Break, all produced by Carl Craig. So that's a cool record to have. Here's I didn't show this in my Orb video, but here's the Oxbow Lakes remix. Yeah, man, he just totally made this track his own with this remix. An awesome remix he did. Yeah, strange that there's only one track per side on this. I don't remember it only having one track. Must be at 45. Yeah. Yeah, 45 minutes. Only a 5-minute track on each side. But it's kind of DJ stuff. Good fidelity, right? This has a little bit of Carl Craig on it. It has Evolution BFCs on here. It has Evolution BFC on here from Evolution. It also has the remix of Crackdown by Psych on here. So those are kind of Carl Craig additions to this one. This is a classic EP, especially for Transmat. It's a classic. Relics. Fantastic art. Love the Transform logo too. How it looks on there. I mean the Transmat logo. Such a great record. On here also has the Info World on by Juan Atkins. The remix of Beyond the Dance by Rhythm is Rhythm. And it has the regular version on here. Also has Artist Stalking here by Suburban Night. And MS6 by Mayday. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's a Science Fiction in '95. This is a single off of Land Cruising. This has the original remix, which I think is better than the album version. The album version is probably my least liked track, and I'll talk more about that on the Land Cruising video. But you also have a Kenny Larkin remix on here, and then there's also a Psych remix, so he remixed his own track on here. Cool artwork. Got the Japanese theme going on with Japanese handwriting, or not handwriting, but Japanese wording on here. Very cool. Here's his remix of Aqua Rhythms Heart Segues, right? Or Heart Sequences, right? You got Rabbit on the Moon here remixing, 2 of them, and Deep Dish, and Carl Craig outdoes them both, of course. I do like the Lunasol remix on here. Lunasol was an altered version of Rabbit on the Moon, if you know, you know. But Carl Craig nailed this remix and made it even better than the original track. On good old Astral Works Records. I'm not sure why this is in there. Although it's a great song. Sueno Latino. Let's see here. Here's that 10-inch that we were talking about. The original Falling Up is remix, 2002, 2003. This is on Third Ear Records, the 10-inch. Falling Up. Don't necessarily have a lot of 10-inch sleeves, so I have it in this one. I got it right next to Poor People Must Work, Carl Craig remix. Then you got the basic channel reshape right on the other side, but talk about a strong double pack. Putting these two together, Falling Up and was this See Me, Poor People Must Work, and Falling Up. That's a record pack right there. A record pack to be proud of. I don't know why I have this with it. This is John Beltram. Okay, here's Throw. I do like these versions a little bit better than the original. You got the miniature mix, the remake, half remix, and the Uno remix, right? It's on the open label. Pretty cool. Here's the LCD sound system remix of it, which was popular. And then Carl Craig's remix is on the other side, the original. Then you have, oh, I think I have another one over there, but I'll come back to that. But yeah, I'm not too jazzed. I do like this better than the original, the Paperclip People. LCD Systems remix is not bad. It's a big track. It's like a big banger track for the clubs, but you know. And then I also got on Classics. Here's Thrill. The reason why I got this was the Climax, though. And this is the PCP version. So this is the reason why I got this was Climax. I really like Climax, and again the BFC stuff with like Evolution and stuff like that. Here's the Le Funk Mob. I mentioned this earlier. The 357 Magnaforce. Yeah, the Ravers Suck Our Sound, the Carl Craig remix, right there on the B side. So that's the reason to get this, in my opinion. Cool artwork, 70s, Le Funk Mob. Le Funk Mob. Here's the vinyl version of that record I was talking about. I mean the CD on Axiom. I also have that. This has the remix treatments from Carl Craig. Radio Axiom, a dub transmission. This is a cool record if you don't know Carl Craig's remix on this one. It's kind of flies under the radar because it's not on Planet E or one of the other labels that he's normally on. And it's not really touted as like a Carl Craig remix. You know, in fact, you got to look closely to hear it even say it says Carl Craig remix on here. Here's a Bug in the Basement by Interzone Orchestra. I think it just has a remix on the other side, 1996. Classic record. And then you got Land Cruiser, right? Got reissued in 2005. The album formerly known as. He kind of redid the tracks for this. Amazing track. I'm going to go more in depth on this on the video. Definitely my favorite. Well, it's a close one because you also have songs about food and revolutionary art. It's really strong too. I mean, this has Atlas on it, of course. Dominoes on here. Televised Green Smoke. It's got some amazing tracks on here. It's so hard to pick a favorite album between these two. You know. I'm missing my record, my vinyl copy of it. I do have this somewhere around here. Again, it's gonna be like that when I go into my records to show you guys stuff, and I'm gonna be missing stuff. But just trust me, I do have this, and it's an amazing record. Trying to think. Oh, Butterfly is another really good one too. Dreamland. Man, it's a great album. Which one's better? That'd be a good story. This one or a Land Cruiser. Amazing record. Amazing record. Yeah, so that's my Carl Craig videos. That's the stuff I have on Carl Craig. I haven't necessarily bought anything from him in the last 16 years. You know, since 2008, since that first album with Maurice van Oswald. So I'm curious if you guys could recommend me anything he's done in the last 15 years. I'd be curious to hear it. But what's your favorite Carl Craig full album? And what's your top 3 favorite Carl Craig records? Put that down below. So your top 3 Carl Craig records, your favorite album of his. And then anything I should listen to from Carl Craig from the last 15 years and catch up with his music. Again, all my stuff is like from 1989 to roughly 2004, and then I got that one from 2008 with Maurice. So yeah, thanks for checking in today's video, Electric Cafe on Carl Craig. Thanks so much.